So we start off every episode here with you guys. This is Shark.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
We start off every episode with a fit check. So I'll show you how it goes. Um, this is a T-shirt from Posh God.
That looks sick.
Some Juicy Couture sweatpants from Goodwill, and then
Okay.
some And-One slides from Walmart, and then just some.
All right.
Now
I
you
feel it.
call you next. Let's see. Who
Um,
got?
so I'm wearing just a black t-shirt, and then I'm wearing, if you guys can see it, like this oversized cardigan, because I keep
Okay.
it cold in my apartment.
Okay.
And then right now I'm wearing some like Adidas shorts, but I'm also wearing some Vans, some black Vans. So I try to wear all black lately, but right now I'm wearing this floral hat, like a dead stock floral
I
hat from like the 90s. I used to wear this hat a lot in like 2014, 2015, but I just started like wearing some of my older stuff again, like recycling the older hats that I used to wear. So,
I feel
but
you.
yeah,
I like the hat.
thanks. Yeah, but I've been wearing mostly black lately. I've been trying to like be more uniform with what I wear because I think a lot of what you wear is a lot of decision making, and lately I've been trying to have most of my decisions just go into like the art and the music and kind of let my clothing be more neutral. So right now I've been rocking mostly black. Yeah,
Nice. Nice.
facts. Yeah,
Sometimes I think
definitely.
people do the opposite. Strive for the opposite.
Right. Yeah.
So you're just doing like the complete polar opposite. So like the same
Yeah.
thing, but
Yeah. Yeah. In a different way.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we get into some of these questions? I mean,
Let's do it. I'm ready. Let's do it.
they're juicy.
I've been waiting all day for this. I've been so excited. I know Zoldyck in the
Me
chat.
too.
Yeah, I was telling him about it. So
It's
what's up, everybody in the
really fun.
chat? Yo, everybody joining. What's up, guys? But yeah, let's do these questions. I'm ready. I'm excited.
Okay. So the first question I have is something, I don't know. I feel like it's talked a lot about, but not talked about in the right way enough, maybe. It's what is your favorite and least favorite part about being a musician today?
So I guess like in the macro of like the internet age, like my favorite thing is like just being able to have the internet, the accessibility just to like get my music and like what I'm making just to anybody like super quickly. I think that's obviously something that people didn't have back in like the 70s, 80s, and 90s necessarily when it came to like promoting your art and promoting what you do. So I think the internet is probably my favorite thing. But I think it also is somehow my least favorite thing because it also
Right.
means that it's very, it can be really saturated and congested and really cluttered with a lot of nonsense as well. So it's a
Yeah.
double-edged sword. So my favorite thing is also my least favorite thing about it, which I guess is the internet, having the internet, access to the internet, to promote what I do. So
It's funny because my last guest kind of said the same thing. He was saying something that really stuck with me. He said, it feels like we're just making things to disappear. And I was like, wow,
right,
that really
definitely,
stuck with me.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting, like exactly, and like I feel like the internet just it moves so fast. Where like you can put out an album and then it feels like in a month or even a week it just like kind of gets sucked away in the internet and it's lost forever. So
Yeah.
um, that definitely changes like my approach with like how I put out what I put out because I also have people's perception in mind and how they use and treat the internet and how they look at the internet as well in mind. So, but yeah, I think so that was in the macro, right? Like I think like on the bigger thing, on the bigger scale, I'd say the internet, but on a smaller scale, if we're thinking of COVID and we're thinking like post pandemic and stuff, like not being able to perform really stinks. Having performances be a little bit spread out now is a little bit different and how that works. So the live aspects is one of my
Yeah.
favorite parts. Performing
I
live is one
you
of
were
my
telling
favorite things.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but not being able to because of everything that's going on in the world kind of stinks. So on the micro level, COVID changed a lot about the live stuff, but on the broad scale, the internet I think is definitely critical to think about.
Right. And it's going to last a long time, I think.
Oh yeah, till the end of time. Yeah.
I guess that kind of leads us into our next question. Um, what is well, I know you have a lot of experience performing. I remember when I like first, I kind of feel like we met as like Twitter friends or something, and
Yeah.
I remember you would always post performances, everything. So I remember you have a lot of you miss those days.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I was wondering, what do you do when you like have performance anxiety, or like what's your process for dealing with it?
So I think a good way to like minimize or maybe even mitigate performance anxiety is being as prepared as possible. I mean, obviously, you can be as prepared as can be, and you still have, an anxiety attack, or you just, you feel like your heart's in your throat and you feel nervous, right? But one thing I always do, if I'm doing like a more vocal oriented kind of set, like if I'm handing off a flash drive to a DJ to play my beats, and then I'm gonna do my vocals on top, is I'll basically run that set in the car, like anytime I'm driving, I'm just playing what I'm gonna perform and just kind of uh, hashing out the songs that way. And even like I think I've always done this every night every time I have a show, maybe like right before I have my set, I'll just go walk around the venue outside and just play the stuff off my iPhone, just like, sing it to myself, hum it to myself, just kind of run through my set one last moment before I get on stage. Um, so yeah, I think like just taking that time to just go over your stuff constantly can minimize that. But even when you have those moments of like an anxiety attack, I think, or like you just being really pent up and anxious and stuff before a performance, I think one good thing to remember is just look past the crowd. If you're on stage with a lot of people, just try to like look beyond them. Look at a person that's not in the crowd. Look at a person that's past everybody, and just perform for you and have your fun and do what you do when you're alone, when you practice it, when you're in your room, and when you're rehearsing. Just do that. But now you have people in front of you, but just, try not to let that overwhelm you, and just, if you have to, look past them. Like I say, look at an imaginary person in the back of the room, perform for that person. So that normally works for me when those moments arise. Hey, Car, what's up? What's up, everybody in chat? What's going on?
Yeah, I would say I agree. Um, I haven't performed too much, but as like a soloist, but when I do perform, I agree. Like just knowing everything, like knowing that there's not going to be a mistake. Basically, like practice until you get into that point, as long as it takes you. Um, the next question I have is, what do you do when you make a mistake during a performance?
So mistakes are funny because when you make a mistake, you're normally the only person that is really going to pick up on the mistake. You have to remember, when you're playing live.
Well, when it comes to your music.
Yeah, yeah. But even my music or anybody else's music, really, I think just play through it. If you make a hiccup and you make what you think is a noticeable mistake, just act like nothing happened. Just keep doing what you're doing and just stay on your grind. Like just stay on your performance, like the path you've set out for your performance. Just follow through with it, because honestly, when you make a mistake live, when you get hung up on it is when people notice it, right? When you react, or you kind of like you freeze up, right? Like that's when people are going to notice it. But if you can just move through a hiccup like that and just keep going, then honestly, people don't notice. I'll tell you, I think almost every show something happens, and I'm telling you, most times people really won't notice if you're just having fun and you're being engaged on stage and you're having fun, you're very active, and you just move through it. You move through it like it was nothing. Because sometimes people might think it was deliberate, whether the beat cuts out or it comes back in or anything weird like that, right? So a hiccup to you could sound like
Right.
a weird moment to somebody else, but really just power through it. Yeah, just power through it, and yeah, just do what you were there to do, and then that's to perform your art, to play your music. So just power through those moments, and normally people, from what I've noticed, is people don't really notice when you make those hiccups. I mean, so yeah.
I remember performing a lot. I grew up in orchestra since like third grade. So I
Mhm.
developed that early on, like, oh my gosh, like that feeling of like, oh my goodness, I made a mistake. But like,
Mhm.
what else can I do besides keep on rolling with it and just like pretend like it didn't happen?
Definitely. And like, and if you have
Yeah.
like a band or a beat, if you have a band or like a beat or like, somebody with you, remember like they sometimes fill in that pocket where you messed up. You know, sometimes in the place where you made a mistake and you notice a mistake, your band will carry you through that moment. Maybe the instrumental will carry you through that moment. If you have effects on your voice, maybe the delay or reverb will help fill in that mistake. So sometimes you have that backup
And people's
to fill
brains
in
will
for
like
you.
fill in the mistakes or something. You never know. Like
100%.
everybody
Yeah,
processes it differently.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, like I said, like from what it's in my past performing life, people really won't notice a mistake when I've made one. Like, you know, maybe they haven't been that drastic, but I think it's just that like the vibes are so high, people are dancing, they're talking, they're drinking, whatever the case may be, they're just enjoying themselves. So what's noticeable to you might not be noticeable to everybody else in the crowd when they're just enjoying themselves and just having fun.
Nice. That okay. I have another question that we didn't really talk about, but
Sure. Yeah.
since you brought it up, with you see, have you ever been performing and you see someone maybe not enjoying themselves, or maybe even like oh this guy,
Mm.
anything like that has happened to you?
I mean, that kind of goes back to like my first, kind of like the first question, which was like, kind of look through the crowd and perform for like an imaginary person in the back of the room. Really, that's like something I do with every show I've ever done. I'm always performing for like an imaginary person in the back of the room because at the end of the day, you have to remember like if you were booked on the show and you were brought out there, it was so that you could play your stuff and showcase what you have to offer as an artist. So, you know, people will vibe to it, some may not, but really, I think in every set is if I see somebody that's not really vibing, I know in the back of my mind that there's probably a song coming up in my set list that they're really going to enjoy, and that'll like kind of recover maybe that moment when they're just kind of standing there, not really sure how they feel about me. It's like I always have something in every set that I think will appeal to somebody, to everybody. So, which will also make them appreciate what they didn't like, I think, about the show. They'll hear the diversity, they'll hear kind of the eclectic sound that I kind of try to bring to my music and kind of be like, okay, this guy's like pretty alternative and all over the place stylistically. So, but yeah, I think if I see somebody not really vibing to my music when I'm playing live, I just try to like shake it off and just keep going. I just know there's something in there that they're gonna like eventually, and it's just a matter of getting to that moment in the night in the
Yeah,
set. So
I
yeah,
feel the same way. Most of my experience performing, like I said, has been orchestra. Growing up in orchestra, like all throughout school, so I kind of developed that like they're probably not even paying attention mentality
right,
really early on.
right,
So it
yeah,
doesn't even really bother me at this point. So, and I feel like you kind of feel the same thing. You're like, I'm really just performing. Like at this point, like there's
right,
really no,
definitely,
yeah,
yeah,
okay,
and like also like I think like at the stage where I'm at and like my artistry and like my popularity or like the venues I play at is where I mostly find myself playing in like bars and clubs where like I'm not necessarily the main focus of the night, right? Like people there are just there to drink and dance and have fun. So if I just stay on my groove and in my pocket and like and just do my performance, whoever decides to hone in and focus on that will love it. And if not, then it's just going to be great vibes and great background entertainment just to have while you talk with your friends and drink with your friends and dance with your friends. So I think where I'm at right now with my art is like I'm playing at a lot of places where I'm mostly like supporting the vibe and I'm kind of like enhancing the vibe of the venue. You know, I'm not really selling out stadiums, so
I know
not
what you
everyone's like,
mean.
you know what I mean? So it's like if you have that
Okay,
in mind and you're humble like that, you just do what you came there to do and you have your fun and like people will tune in if they want to tune in and people will tap in and catch that wavelength that you're kind of putting down. So
that is the best. I feel like the best artist like that comes about. Like even if they're low key, like this artist right here, I
mm,
went somewhere to go see him like spin and to see his art displayed amongst other artists and amongst other DJs and everything.
right,
And I'm sure like there was a lot more people there that were more popular than him maybe or less popular whatever, and I'm sure a lot of people didn't even know who he was, but when he was spinning to me I was like this is awesome, like I love how he's DJing
right.
now, like, and I was gonna say earlier, like, oh, do you just like maybe look at the bartender or something? I feel like that if I was performing at a bar, I'd be like, oh, the bartender's like, it's the bar,
Mm,
so she's the or he's the star of
right,
the show.
right. Like I think, yeah, I mean, I normally would just like, you know, I like scan the room, but yeah, really, I'm just like looking through people. It's not as empty as it sounds. It's more of just like I just want to entertain and like show you what I'm doing. And I feel like if I focus on somebody it might take everybody else out of it. So I just try to like, it's
Nice.
interesting. I think like if people can really visualize that, like performing for someone in the back of the room and like through the crowd, then like everybody can just like enjoy the spectacle that I'm trying to deliver, right? And like I said, even on a small scale where like you're not really the main focus of the night, right? There's like bartenders and drink specials and people are dancing, talking, catching up, right? Like if someone's gonna hone in on me for those couple of minutes, those couple songs, and they'll realize, oh, this guy's really performing. He's really putting on a show. You know, he's very physically active on stage, and he's having fun. He's energetic. So, I think it's just about like bringing your vibe wherever the venue is, and people will tap in and tune in as they wish. And if not, then just supply the best music you can, and everybody will just have a great environment, background, vibe, energy, just to enjoy their night with. So, what's up, everybody
Nice.
in chat? Yeah,
Um, well, I hope you can get back to performing more soon, because I
yeah.
feel like that's where your heart is at.
Yeah, it's really fun. Like I said, I think we talked earlier, like off the stream, but yeah, I had a show like end of last month. It went really well. Met a lot of cool people. It was fun to like shake off the rust and get back into it for a change. But yeah, I would like to see more shows come back and be commonplace. They're popping up, but you know, who knows what the future holds with everything going on in the world. So I just take each show that I can get at a time and just enjoy it for what it was. I was also in Florida end of May for a 2 day festival there. So I played two shows in Florida end of May. So those were great as well. But yeah, I just noticed that shows are far and few between. So just enjoy them when you can get them and just make the most of them because, you know, we don't know what tomorrow will bring. So
Okay. I have a personal question since, okay, like I've never performed at a venue.
mm,
Um, like I'm writing this as if I was in the chat right now. Like if you guys have a question, you can drop it below. But
mm,
do you have any like tips? I know we've already went through like performance anxiety and stuff like that, but is there any other tips like even how if no matter how arbitrary it is like for performing? Because I kind of maybe want to get into it or help other people get into it.
right.
Do you
Um,
have anything?
I think when you're packing up to roll out to your show, right? Let's say you've rehearsed, it's show day, and you've practiced all week, and you're packing up all your gear, and you're ready to drive out to that venue. Whether that venue is a state away, or you're flying, or you're driving only 20, 30 minutes. One of my biggest mistakes I always make is sometimes I forget something. I'll forget a cable, I forget an adapter, I forget, you know, I misplace something. Or so from what I've learned is just have a lot of redundancy, double, triple check all your stuff when you roll out to a show. You never want to pull up to a venue and be missing a charger for a pedal, or you don't have enough double A extra batteries for, you know, a tuner. You know what I mean? So you just double,
Yeah,
triple check your stuff. That's one of my tips. And also try not to get too stressed out. I think the day of a show you'll feel really stressed, like with time. Like you'll wake up, it'll be like the show might be at 10 p.m. and it's like 2 in the afternoon and you're like stressing out. It's like, yo, you got
yeah,
time,
you're like it's happening right
relax.
now.
Yeah, just yeah, exactly. Just breathe and just take it in. And I think that stress, that pent up energy leads to you forgetting stuff. It leads to you misplacing a flash drive or misplacing a cable. You don't bring everything you need. So I think like being really chill and relaxed on the day of a show allows you to make less mistakes as you get closer to that show time because you really want to be able to pull up to the venue, do your little sound check, have everything plugged in, and then just hang out. You know, get a drink at the bar, eat something, wait for your time to go up, and like vibe. You never want to feel like stressed up until the second you go on stage because that's where you then make mistakes when you're performing. But yeah, I would
Just
say
do
like
whatever
double,
you
triple
gotta
check.
do to be prepared and feel
Pack,
confident.
yeah. If you
I
gotta
was
make a
gonna say
checklist,
like
do it.
wear the
Yeah,
nicest outfit that you feel fly in. So
that's a
kind of
good
like the same
advice.
answer.
Yeah,
Be
yeah,
prepared.
kinda. Yeah, definitely. Be
Do
prepared. I mean,
whatever it
like,
takes to make you feel like this is my performance. And nothing's gonna stop that. You cut out for a second there.
yeah, Siri started like picking me up. Um, yeah, basically just double, triple check your stuff. Make sure you have everything with you, and then the rest is just on you and catching your vibe and having your fun. But make sure you have all your cables, all your stuff, all your stuff ready to go because technical
If
stuff
you're stressed,
is
the audience
critical.
is stressed.
Yes, and they'll sense it on you. You'll feel awkward on stage. You'll look awkward on stage. So
I'd
definitely
rather
try to
just
be
turn it
loosey
off.
goosey.
Like
100%.
even if
100%.
I go on stage and I'm like really anxious, I'm like, I'm not, like, because even if I played bad, like I'd rather play bad like less anxiously, or I don't know if that makes sense. Like
Right.
even more chill. Like that's a better performance to me, watching somebody be like relaxed and authentic and vulnerable than like uptight and like anxious. I don't know.
Right. Definitely. And like you said, like if you have a slip up or a little mistake, it's easier to bounce back if you're loosey goosey and you're feeling like in flow and you're just like comfortable. Like it's easier to bounce back from a little hiccup. But if you're stressed to begin with and you make a mistake, then that can be the final thing that makes everything topple over, and then you just collapse on stage. You just start making more mess ups and stuff like that. So um,
Has that
definitely
happened to
be as
you?
I don't think that's ever really happened to me. No, I think the worst thing that ever happened to me was like something where like just the audio cut out, but it wasn't my fault. It was like a front of house. Someone like knocked something over and like just like killed the audio for a few seconds. When that happens, there's not really much you can do. You can just kind of like laugh and giggle until it gets fixed. But that stuff happens very far and few between. And honestly, the more you perform, the better venues you play at, the better sound engineers you have, the less likely a hiccup like that will happen. And yeah,
I
so
imagine.
yeah, definitely.
Okay. The next question I have is, what role does mental health play in being a musician for you?
So mental health is interesting because having good or neutral mental health can kind of be your rock or kind of your foundation, your base through all the crazy things that happen when you're making art and you're networking with people and you're kind of building relationships and feelings are getting involved and just like the social aspects of making art, and that also can affect the psychological aspects of making art. So I think mental health is core to like being in tune with your mental health is core to having a good healthy base as an artist when you're out there socializing and networking with people and trying to be out there as a musician. um, but I think that same awareness of your mental health and understanding the quirks of it, or maybe the darker aspects of it, or maybe what people would see as negative aspects of your mental health, I think being in tune with those aspects um, can actually influence your art and allow you to channel those things in your art, and can allow you to kind of express those things that maybe you feel are misunderstood, or maybe people don't relate with you on, and things like that. I think those parts of your mental health are also powerful to be in tune with, the negative or maybe the darker things, because they can inspire your art and you can find answers to those things in your art and you can kind of express them in your art, and maybe connect with other people that maybe feel that same vibe sometimes, or maybe they feel that same way too in their head. So yeah, I think looking at the light and the darkness, I think you got to have a grasp on both of them, really. And just to put it that simply. But yeah, I think it's essential to having a strong base. Like I said, it's having a good core, a good base, a good mental base to plant your feet in, is
I feel it's
important
like the
because
keyboard. It's like
mhm.
a little bit of dark on the light.
Right, you got some minor and major you got some minor key and some major key elements going
You
on.
gotta have both.
Yeah, you gotta have both. But I think, like I said, like having that good core is essential because you meet so many people, you have so many interesting interactions when you create and you're making art, and knowing who you are and where you stand on things, and kind of how you feel about things too, it makes it easier to like navigate, the relationships you make and the choices you make in the artistic world. So I think mental health is, and if anything, art is the perfect vessel to express or visualize or stylize our mental health, or what we think about in our head, and what we battle as individuals, right? I think art is very expressive, so I think mental health is a critical part of being an artist, right? Being in tune with your mental health is a critical part of being an artist, because it's one of the ways that you express, what
Whether it's
drives us,
good or bad, just being in
whether it's
tune
good
with
or
it.
bad. Yeah, being in tune with it, because it allows us to art allows us
It's like
to
essential. Like
convey or express. Yeah, it's like it allows us to portray the things we feel and the things that we go through. So, um, artists are very in tune with themselves. For the ones that I know, at least, they try to be in tune with themselves as they can be, um, and tap into themselves when they make their art. So, Definitely very important.
I know I've been sitting around waiting for like a heartbreak, like so I can write some songs, like,
Right, yeah.
and I'm just like in a
That's funny.
happy relationship, like.
Yeah. I think I think memory is a really powerful too. I think memory is like it's like the photo book of your brain, you know. So sometimes, you know,
Sometimes mental health affects that memory.
definitely, and like, you know, if you have closure and you've found closure in certain situations in your life, I think there's no harm in thinking back on them and learning how to like express what you felt in that moment or express what happened in that moment, right? So I think memory is a very powerful tool. So yeah, when I see artists that are in relationships but they write like a dark song that's maybe that maybe contrasts their real life. You know, I always think, hey, maybe that song was written before they were in that relationship. Maybe it's about someone else's relationship and it's a song for
Maybe it's
someone else's
about
situation.
their friend.
Yeah, it's about their friend, right? So like songwriting is very interesting. Very it's
I
very funny that way. Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
you know I'm big into songwriting, like that's my
Mhm.
thing, and like I'm working on some songs right now, like coming to terms with a lot of things on my mental health and went wrong, and I'm like, wow, if anybody were to hear this, and we were talking about exchanging this, and
Mhm.
like I'm like thinking, I was thinking like, oh, if you're gonna hear this, you're probably thinking, wow, like she's in a bad relationship with her boyfriend or something, but or if anyone were to hear this, they would think that, but it's like, no, like I'm talking about my parents like 10 years ago or something.
Right, right. Definitely. Yeah, I think I have it's funny, like a lot of my songs are actually about a person or people that aren't me. It's just a situation, it's just a moment, it's just a fragment in time. It doesn't have to necessarily be me. It can be something I observed or something I saw or something I witnessed. So, um, songwriting is really cool that way. But sometimes you can write it in a way where it seems like it's you, but really it's not you. You're writing about someone else. Maybe you're writing from their perspective, but you're portraying
Right.
someone else. There's so many layers to songwriting. It's super fascinating, like how you can go um, about that. So.
Um, have you like taken any classes for songwriting?
No, you know, I mean, I took like creative writing and stuff and like just like English courses in like college and stuff. I mean, I
Because
guess
I know in college
my
they made
writing,
me, they required me to take one.
yeah, I mean, I took like a foundations of like a storytelling class, so I learned about how to like, you know, the art of storytelling. So, and I think that's really critical. Um, it's a cool angle to take with a songwriting or poetry. Is like I want to tell stories. You know, some people want to talk about a moment like they're out at the club getting shots, but some people want to tell a story. They want to like create a world and like their song is about that story. So I think taking like a foundational storytelling class, which was like for authors and writers, right? But it was required of me for my sound degree. Um, it did help me change my perspective on like writing songs, you know, because I would learn like techniques or I would learn about authors and writers or stanzas in poetry. And I'd be like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I never thought about maybe trying that with the songwriting. You know, one of the things too that I never thought about was just reading tons of poetry and just learning like how to write songs off of that. Like analyze how people approach poetry and how they break out stanzas or phrases in poetry and see how you can apply those techniques to like writing songs. So I think like that was really my only ever like writing class. I've never taken like a song writing class. Um, never taken anything like that before. But writing in general, yeah, I've taken a general writing classes. So I guess that
Interesting.
counts. Yeah.
Yeah, that counts.
Yeah.
My you're saying to go to poetry. My songwriting teacher, he the first one of the first thing he taught to us, like first methods of starting a song is going to actually a what is it called, a like news story, like look up a an article
Like a current
and
event or like a current
yeah,
event. Yeah. Hmm.
and find like a quote that somebody said, or it doesn't have to be current events, but like a quote that somebody said like when they were like not thinking straight or something like that.
Right.
Sometimes people say some things, and like, to be honest with you, when I heard that I was like, okay, that's kind of cool, I guess, like that is a way. But
Mm.
yeah, I just pretended like I did that, and I just wrote the song myself because I felt like I could do this. But
Right.
I don't know. What do you think about that? Doing something like that?
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, one of the things that I've really been doing is just kind of just like riffing, just kind of it kind of like freestyling. I kind of will just, lately I've just been, I kind of will like freestyle, and I don't mean like rapping. I'll just like either
I know what you
sing or just,
mean.
you know what I mean? I'll just like, I'll play on the song and then I'll be like, oh, I like that melody. Oh, I like that line. Oh, I like that phrase. And then I start to like
Add a little
construct it that way.
something here and there.
Yeah.
This is
Or
ends
like,
up being the chorus. This needs a little verse here, a little breakdown
exactly.
here.
Something
I
like
feel
that.
you on the
Something like that.
freestyling, and then it just flows together, and those are like the best times.
Those. And then, I feel like as far as like subject matter in my songs, I mean, um, I don't know. Lately, it's been about. I don't know. I feel like lately a lot of like what I've been writing has been more about like proving yourself, like showing and proving, uh,
Okay.
just kind of proving yourself. And then honestly, on the darker side, like revenge, remorse, um,
Ooh.
regret, things like that. So
You
some
guys
some
gotta check
darker,
out
some
his
darker,
stuff. Revenge.
yeah, some darker stuff. So yeah, I
I
mean,
feel like a
I
lot of
think like
artists can not admit that, so that's cool that you
yeah, I mean, like
would
I
say that.
think I mean, obviously, it's not a healthy. I mean, you don't want to be. No one ever. You don't want to be vengeful, right? But
I mean, it's a healthy output.
no, no. But I think a lot of being an artist is being like underestimated, or maybe feeling like feeling like you have a lot you want to share, but maybe you don't really. People aren't giving you the chance yet, or maybe people won't really give you the time of day. You hear stories people camping out front of labels trying to give them the demo, or and people just trying to get their dreams out. So I think a lot of artists feel that feeling of wanting to get back at everybody that kind of doubted them and or wronged them. So I think tapping into that, something wrong with that. I think there's something wrong with tapping into that stuff. And I think in the way that I've been doing it, um, it's not so much with writing full on songs about those kind of emotions, but writing, like I said, like almost poetry style stanzas or phrases, and then have them lead into like these darker instrumental moments where the instrumentation is kind of painting the feeling rather than the words that I'm saying. But I gave you a little teaser with some words leading up to that big explosion of instrumental, or a drop, I guess you could say, or something like that. So
Yeah, I
kind
feel
of
that with
spinning
your
that on.
with
Yeah.
your latest single, with your last song you put out.
Yeah.
Definitely a storytelling song. Definitely
Yeah.
does with the instruments what you said with the instruments. Definitely gets revenge on whoever doubted,
Yeah.
indirectly or directly, whatever. But so yeah, what you're saying, your music stands true to that, and I feel like that's cool that you're that in tune because a lot of artists, I don't know, just do whatever they think. They're like, maybe just like, oh, I just thought it sounded cool or whatever. But like, you're really in tune. You really know that, like, I identify with you on that. Like, that the mental health aspect plays a huge role in the creation of any of our art because if we didn't have that, we wouldn't have any type of drive, I feel like, or motivation
Right.
if everything was so happy, hunky dory, or whatever the term is.
I guess, and like, I guess one way I could put it like this is like, if I'm having like a great year, I'm gonna make like music that reflects the mood of that year. I'm not gonna go make like a sad album to try and be sad, right? In the same way that like, if I had a really bad year, a really bad month, I'm not gonna go make like a happy song that doesn't really reflect where I've been just to play some show or pretend to like that everything's good. I really will show what I'm going through in my art. I think, like I said, like art, like for me, art is very expressive. It's very much like these are like little stories that I'm putting through. So, um,
Healing.
yeah, like feeling, putting the feeling in your songs, whether you abstract those feelings or whether you literally write about those feelings, just put them in a song, put them in, whether it's the beat, like, oh, this beat really matches how I felt after this moment, you know, but the lyrics are about this whole other thing, but at least I put a piece of what I was going through or dealing with or feeling
Wow.
into
So
the
like
song.
if it were to be a visual perspective, you would have some very like mismatchy kind of
Yeah,
um
because I think a song is a really long,
pixelated art.
because sometimes like art songs are a really long process. You know, you'll start the song and then you've gone through a whole bunch of different stuff over the course of making that song. So by the time you're finishing that song, you might be in a different place. You might be like, wow, like the conflict of this song has been resolved, or the situation the song is about is worse, or you know, it could be any which different
Yeah,
ways. But
sometimes you're like, I want to write two versions of this song. Like one from when I how I felt when I started writing it, and then all the stuff I realized along the way. But
right,
I guess that'd be
I
a
mean
cool
that could be,
concept for a song.
even in
Oh
itself,
my
that'd be a
gosh,
cool
stealing
like,
ideas.
right, yeah, exactly, like a part one, part two, or something like that. Yeah, I think yeah, I mean, with the whole like mismatching with like mixing and matching kind of, yeah, sometimes it's like that, you know, the lyrics are coming from a different place than when I made the instrumental, because sometimes I'll make an instrumental, I'll produce a song that I don't write for, I don't make into a single until sometimes years later, to be honest with you. I'll have a beat and I'll be like, oh, let me revisit this, you know. I know I made this beat when I was going through this, but now I'm going through this. Maybe I can write about that on top of this thing. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
it's also, it's very cool in a different way. So
I do know.
yeah.
It's nice going back to old beats and being seeing how far you've come, but
Mhm.
also seeing the value in the past and being able
Definitely.
to apply the new to the old. So that's cool. Never
Hmm.
really thought of it like that. Even though I do that all the time. But like the fact that you do it on purpose is very cool. It's very not calculated, but like it's very, just very like demonstrative and it just takes an extra step. Like I don't know if I think about it visually.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, like kind of calculated. I think in a way, like I try to like, well now not so much, but I used to try to like never throw away any session, like save every session, save every little idea, save every little session file, because um because of what you just said. Sometimes like years will go by and I'll open up this old section and I'm like, wow, this is a lot of potential. And now, you know, maybe I made that thing 2 years ago or a year ago. When I open it for that like new time in a couple of years, I'll look at it and be like, wow, I made this beat back then so that I could find it and open it in this very moment 2 years from then, and know that I was supposed to like finally write to it, or finally like send it to this artist, or now I finally met this new artist that this beat sounds great for, who I didn't know back when I was making this thing. So like I think like saving a lot of what you make and not throwing away your ideas can make them really useful when you go back to them and you want to tap into them and make something new. Because you know, if you have all your sessions, you can go in and add new drums. You can go in and add new things that are, you know, if you made that beat 2 years ago, you're a better producer now. You can go in
Yeah, you
and
can change
retouch up
that
the drums.
cringy
Yeah,
mix.
yeah. You can make that cringy mix super fire, and you know, you can fix that corny preset and make it sound good. So, you know, but you know, the melodies are there. You know, because at the end of the day, writing is, you know,
The ideas.
the notation, the melodies, the chords, the harmony. So if you have those ideas there, then you can build off of that however many ways you want, and forever if you have the sessions. So, um, definitely, I'm definitely always doing that. I love doing that stuff.
Yeah, it always sucks when you have like the beat or something, but you don't have the means to edit it.
Mhm.
But you have an idea for it, and you're like, I can't even go through with this because of how like how bad of a producer I was and how much it won't match with anything I've been putting out.
Right. I mean, so I've actually had that happen to me before. Not on any song that I've put out, but from what I've learned, like on a more technical thing, if anybody is into the technical stuff with the sound, just doing a lot of low pass filtering and just doing a lot of filtering on the beat, you know. If you're gonna go from a chorus into the verse and all you have is the wave file of your crappy old mix, you know, mess with the EQ, like, you know, filter out a lot of the high end frequencies and like, you know, do a frequency sweep as it builds up throughout the verse. Just find ways to modulate, you know, the wave file of your beat if that's all you have, and then don't be afraid to find the BPM and maybe use that old beat like a sample, like resample your old beat and add new stuff on top of it and things like that. So I've done that before as well. So as long as you have the
Nice.
audio file, magic can be done. As long as you've got the wave files and as long as you got the sound files,
Are you
that's
guys
all you need to
writing this down?
play.
Like,
Yeah,
this
this
is
is
good
no. It's
stuff.
hopefully they watch it later, but because the thing about it, the file is it's just a sample. That old crappy beat that you hate, that you wish you could tweak that one thing on, that's now a sample. You can go recut that and maybe add new drums on top. So I think it's super important just to don't underestimate just having that one crappy wave, because I bet you there's songs on the radio that you love that's probably all they had was just the wave.
Nice. You
Right.
gotta send me that example. I want to hear it.
There's gotta be. There's gotta be. I don't know for a fact, but even I get songs from artists to mix where all they have is the wave. They don't have the stems. They don't have all the parts. They just have a wave. So, when you mix,
We should try to do one then if you can't find one.
yeah, we could. I
For the
mean,
heck of it.
literally. Yeah, for
I'll do
sure.
one of your beats and you can do one of mine.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Trade the unfinished beats to somebody you know. Let them finish it. Let them sample it. Definitely a
Yeah.
possibility. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really we don't really have any more questions, but I do like to ask this question because I'm
Go for
just
it.
curious. Because it's like interesting it's just an interesting question to me. When do you find yourself like being the most inspired? Like I find myself sometimes in the shower, like I need to run out soapy and write this down like right now. Do you feel like you have a certain time that, or is it convenient for you? Are you inspired at the right times?
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I feel like I'm always inspired at the wrong times, but
Yeah,
more so that like
wrong time.
I'm doing something, I'm preoccupied doing something, and that's when the idea hits, and I'm like, damn it, I'm doing this thing right now, so I gotta save that little idea for later when I get home or when I get back, right? But um, that's not always the case. But I mean, what inspires me really, it's crazy, but it's just my past, my present, and my future. It's just that simple. Like a lot of it stems from memory and
Oh,
experience. It's just from thought, like thinking about my future, thinking about what I'm going through right now, and thinking about what I've been through in the past. I think those three things really inspire me. I'll pull moments out of my life timeline and rethink about them and things like that, and like tap into them, or maybe even like a sound. Like, damn, I was listening to this band a lot back then. Like, let me hear what that band's making now. And sometimes I'll like really like what they make, or I hate it. Or I don't know. It's like I like to like go through like my timeline of life and like tap into like what I used to be into, because it's still a part of me, right? Like I'm still into that stuff, even if I've maybe haven't listened to it as often as I used to. You know what I mean? Because it made up the person I am now. So I like to like go through back in time to like all my alternate versions of myself, my phases, I guess you could say, and kind of tap into that for inspiration. So I think my music shows that. If you listen to my music, you'll hear the rock, the emo, the lo-fi, the hip hop. You'll hear like the EDM. You'll hear everything. You'll hear the scope of what has inspired me throughout my life, and through like the years, being a
I
young
remember the
guy.
emo.
Yeah, the emo, and like even like one of my songs from this year. It's like one of my it's not unfortunate, but it's called Dead on the Internet. It's one of my most popular songs this year, streams wise. That's a more like emo punk kind of song, and like that was a song where I was like, let me tap into like a sound that I was really into a while ago, but bring a newer angle on it. So yeah, I'm always tapping into it. Alex, he has a podcast where he actually revealed that to me. He revealed that to me. He was like, Shark, his music is a mixture of everything he's ever been into in his entire life. And he was so right when he said that, because it revealed to me. I was like, wow, he's so right. Like, I truly let like the styles of music I've been into, I let it show like in what I make and what I choose to combine and what I choose to like mesh together. So
Yeah,
I don't know. A lot of possibilities. A
true.
lot of possibilities. Yeah.
There's a lot of elements to your music that I think you pull off well, um, putting together that a lot of people couldn't do. and
Hmm.
it should
Yeah, I
be
mean,
appreciated more in today's kind of music world. I feel like we're kind of getting there, but those
definitely.
artists are less appreciated. I feel like maybe there's like waves of popularity with them or something, or certain ones, but I don't know. I feel
Definitely.
like they don't get enough spotlight.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now we've really, I mean, what's weird about being an artist right now is I think we've moved into a time in being an artist where artists are really content creators, where you see these people, they're very animated in your face on camera, and they're always trying to get you to like do shit. Like it's like artists have become like these like pseudo content creators, and I think that's made artists really compartmentalize their sound, where they're like, I have to be a dubstep guy, I have to be a drum and bass guy, I have to be a techno guy, I have to be a boom bap guy, I have to be melodic trap. Like they have to fit in one of these avenues, or they're never going to get picked up by like an algorithm, or they're never going to get found in their niche. You know what I'm saying? And I think they kind of pigeonhole themselves. Where I like to think where I really am so far beyond that concept where I'm just like, I make whatever I want. I'm like, when you sign up to listen to Shark, you're signing up for that experience of like, damn, what did he give me this time? So like, and I think there are artists like that. There are some artists like that, but they really had to go through the gauntlet of being themselves for so long, where they amassed such a following that was like, it's undeniable. This person can do whatever they want because they have such a big audience that wants them to keep being themselves and expressing themselves in whichever direction they want. But I think that type of artist is kind of going away in my generation, just because I think we live in a very algorithmic time. We live in a very social media oriented, like, and I can't stress it, very algorithmic. So people are kind of pigeonholing themselves in a certain sound in a certain genre, and doubling down on that to kind of break out into those algorithms and to break out into those hashtags and to get into those crowds. Um, and these might be artists that switch that up every couple of years. One year they sound like folky, and now they sound like electro pop, and you're like, what is this person doing? And you're like, oh,
They're
they're like,
Madonna.
yeah, yeah, kinda, I guess. But I think for me, it's just like not really conforming to any of that. Like, and I think that's what makes, you said, like, some people go under. Sometimes that type of artist can go underappreciated, and I think that is because the internet doesn't favor somebody that's being so different in so many directions, because it's hard for you to find your avenue. It's hard for you to find your base in your community, because it's hard for people to identify with you if they don't understand the full scope of you yet. So
It's easier on the internet than the radio, I feel like. Sometimes.
definitely, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, I don't know, my mind this whole time has been like, okay, like, most person I think about when I think of that kind of person is Aphex Twin. So I'm like,
Definitely.
okay, I would have never known about him if it weren't for the internet, I feel like. But maybe, I don't know, maybe there's some, I'm sure he's on the actually he is on the radio, actually.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I
I
have
mean,
like Sirius.
there's a lot of artists that I could name drop that, like, I mean, it's 7:50, so I don't know how much longer we can go, but like there's a lot of artists I could name drop that like really exemplify what I'm talking about. Um like Aphex is one, Moby is one, Kanye is one, Pharrell is one, Phil Collins is one, Prince is probably one, MJ was probably one, Michael Jackson. There's a lot of artists that, while they had a sound, they were very eclectic, and they were able to kind of move around and do what they wanted within that. And people always backed them up. And I really strive to be like that kind of artist. I don't really want to pigeonhole
I mean,
myself into one thing. I kind of want to go down in history as one of those kind of guys where it was like, damn, Shark really was like,
he didn't
really
care. Like,
so,
he really had a
yeah,
vision.
yeah. He really had a vision, and like that. I was just willing to make whatever I was feeling like expressing. I wasn't willing to keep it within the confines of a genre, or in the confines of a contemporary sound. I was willing to make whatever I want to get my idea across, or my feeling across, and across any medium. I've done art installations, I've done advertisements, I've done like short films. So sound is a lot. It's more than just music. It's a lot of ways to express yourself with the medium of sound. So really cool stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Like you said, we have a few minutes left. And speaking about your media, is there anything you want to tell the people that you have coming up, or where to find you,
Um,
that they should check out from you?
yeah, so if you're watching this or you're watching this back or you tuned in, thank you so much. Definitely just follow me on Instagram. It's where I post all my updates. I'm on every social media platform. Just look up Shark Anthony. But definitely just follow me on Instagram. It's where I post everything first. I had a new song come out last week, last Friday. So definitely check that out on Spotify. If you look me up on Spotify, it's called
It's
Take
good.
It Out. Yeah, thank you. And then I have another new song coming soon. I don't know if it'll be coming next week or the next couple weeks, but it's done. It's ready to go. Just getting some of the distribution back end rollout stuff together. So have another new song coming out soon. But yeah, definitely just follow me on Instagram. It's the best place to keep up with me because this is where I'm the most active. And but yeah, thank you for having me on too, Ash. Really appreciate it. Yeah,
Of course.
yeah,
You're one of the first people I thought of to do this with, and like, um, I feel like we have a lot in common when it comes to making music and like our goals, I guess, of making
definitely.
music that I didn't even know until this conversation. I mean, I felt like I knew a little bit. We've discovered that we had some stuff in common, but I didn't know
Mm.
like it went this deep. Like I feel the same way about like I really just want to get my feelings out there, and if someone feels that, then
Mm-hmm.
that's great.
100%.
And if I it's better than putting out something whatever just to get someone to feel it, and then it's like feels fake. I don't know. It's just not as um fulfilling.
Definitely. I agree. It's a good word to describe it.
Yeah. So I didn't know that. This was a good chat.
100%. I was glad to get on here and yeah, I hope I'm gonna share this. I think Instagram saves these videos, so I definitely will share this around.
I hope so, because last time it didn't let me. But I think if I end it before the minute mark, then I might make it.
I think it'll pop up on your screen if you want to save it and share it to your friends. Definitely press that and share this because this was a great talk and I'm so glad you invited me. Everybody in the chat, thank you for watching. I saw all the names pop up. I wanted to say hi to everybody, but a lot of people tuned in. Super cool. So
Yeah, I feel like a
definitely
lot was covered here. You covered
100%.
a lot, so
Hell
in
yeah.
such a short amount of time.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm down to talk whenever. So hit me up again. Let's talk again soon.
Okay, part two coming up, guys.
All right.
All
All
right,
right.
bye. Thank you
See ya.
guys for
Bye.
tuning in.
Bye.